Let's say the Chicago Bears do in fact trade that #1 overall pick again. What could they realistically get in a trade this time around as opposed to last season when that trade was a home run for Ryan Poles? So let's talk about it. What is going on, y'all? Faiz Sports All back at it with another video. Talking, of course, some NFL here to talk about the Chicago Bears. So if you're a Bears fan, please do hit that subscribe button down below. All right, so we've talked a lot about the Caleb and Justin debate. Let's just kind of, take a look at the other side and maybe see, hey, what happens if we do, in fact, trade the pick, right? And we go ahead and we, did what we did last year and try to acquire a massive amount of draft capital. So what could that look like? And I went back and I looked at a couple articles that were from the past few months and also just, this past season. And I got to tell you, folks, like some of the offers out there are pretty wild. Let's start with the one that I thought was pretty mild, okay? This was back in January. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN posted an article talking about what the Bears could get for the #1 overall pick. And he basically said that the Chicago Bears could expect to get 2 first-round picks, not including their own that they would switch, a day 2 pick and or a veteran player. All right, so let me repeat that. 2 first-round picks in addition to the pick you're switching. So that's 3 first-round picks, right? Because it's, hey, I'm swapping with, somebody at 9 like I did last year. I get the #9 overall pick, so that's also a first-round pick. All right, so the first-round pick that they switch with in addition to 2 other picks, so that's 3 first-round picks, and then a day 2 and or a veteran player. All right, so that's basically 3 firsts, a second, or a veteran player. I got to tell you, folks, that's not enough. That is not enough. Last year, when you traded the #1 overall pick with the Panthers, you got the following: 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and DJ Moore. All right, so you got 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and an absolute stud in DJ Moore. So this time around, you're telling me I get 3 firsts. Okay, so an additional first. I like that. But either a second or a stud player, like, I'm sorry. Like, I need a little bit more than that. If it was a day 2 and a veteran player, I'm okay with that. But not either or. All right? And now let's talk about the extreme side of things here. All right? This is fun because I believe this was from a Raiders website. The Raiders have, I think, the 13th overall pick, and they were kind of speculating what would it take to move all the way from 13 to #1. That's a steep climb, right? 1 to 2, the cost is less than 1 to 13. So from 13 to 1, the Raiders, the website that I looked at basically said that it would take 3 firsts, 2 seconds, a third, and Max Crosby, or a solid starter. Yeah, that sounds about right if you're trying to move down. So 3 firsts, 2 seconds, a third, and an absolute stud pass rusher. So again, that might be on the richer side of things here. But again, you are moving down from 1 to 13. So that's a lot. That's a steep drop off. Ultimately, if they trade the #1 overall pick, where do I see the Bears trading down to? And what do I expect the return to be? Well, I would tell you that I think if they do trade, I don't think they would like to get out of the top 10. I certainly don't think that's going to happen. I think they will stay within the top 10. And honestly speaking, I think they probably even want to stay in the top 5. Right? You have some stud players in this draft that you really don't want to miss out on. So maybe they stay in the top 5 as well. But bottom line is, for the Chicago Bears, if they trade this pick, they must get at minimum 3 first-round picks. So like I said, 2 additional first-round picks, not including the one you're switching. So that's 3 firsts. You need to get at least a second, at least 1 second, and a veteran player, most likely 2 seconds and a veteran player. So you can do a second and a third and a veteran player, or 2 seconds and a veteran player. But 3 firsts, 2 seconds veteran, 3 firsts, 1 second, 1/3 veteran. All right? Ideally, an edge rusher would be great. For the Chicago Bears, Max Crosby is a perfect example, but I don't know if they want to trade all the way down to 13. But that is the asking price, because we are talking about a draft with a bunch of great quarterbacks. Some are considered generational by analysts, and a bunch of other players that also could be considered generational. Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, point is, that number 1 pick is extremely valuable in this draft, more so than it was even in the last draft class or maybe future draft class. So that asking price from Ryan Poles better be steep and it better be expensive. And if you're willing to pay, then we can talk. So that's what I think we can look at here. 3 firsts, a second and a third, a veteran player, or 2 seconds and a third and a veteran player. Excuse me, 3 firsts, 2 seconds, a veteran player, or a second and a third veteran player. Either which way, let's see what happens. But that is kind of the asking price I'm looking at if I'm the Chicago Bears. It might be steep, but number 1 pick ain't cheap, bro. It ain't. Last year, it was 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and DJ Moore. Yeah. If you're not giving me a player equivalent of a DJ Moore, I'm going to charge you more draft capital. Don't like it? You have to trade. So let me know what you guys think. What is, in your mind, an appropriate amount of draft capital if the Bears do, in fact, trade that number 1 overall pick? I've given my thoughts. Leave a comment down below as always. Thanks for watching.